The most offensive F word you know is fear. A badass becomes fearless, flipping the format on the fear of failure. Badass is an acronym, and each Wednesday, Kelly shares tips, tools, and information about how you can become licensed to be badass too. Turn up your energy with Wednesday Wisdom. Here again is Kelly Orchard. You know what doesn't get old? Being called a badass.
You're absolutely right, Bobby. It does not get old being called a badass. Seriously, sometimes when I'm out in a networking event and somebody says, "Hey, badass, how you doing?" I first of all, I love it because that's what I say. But it doesn't matter if they don't even really know my name. They're calling me badass. Who cares? So yeah, that's right. Being called badass does not get old, and you too can be called badass when you become certified. That's right, certified badass. That's what I do. I certify badasses. And hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast for Successful Badassery. This is Wednesday Wisdom. I am Kelly Orchard, the Badass Certifier. Thanks for joining me. The month of September, Wednesday Wisdom is covering, both the A's and badass. That's right. Normally, I just would do one, but a lot of stuff has been coming at me lately from clients and colleagues and friends about the importance of self-care. And I cover that in the second A in Badass, which is awareness, that you need to kind of be acknowledging that sometimes you need to ask for help or to take better care of yourself. And of course, the first A in Badass stands for attitude is everything, and you need a positive one if you're going to succeed. So the month of September, I'm kind of blending the two together so that we can get you off of the stuckness that you're in or out of that the blues or the hole that you feel that you've been dug into. I know that we've all been through a lot, and it doesn't seem to be coming to any kind of conclusion anytime soon. So attitude and awareness is what's going to help you be resilient and get you through this. So I'm going to kind of be reviewing what we've covered in the spring. So I wanted to invite you that you can always go back and listen to previous episodes. They're chock full of badassery, and at only 20 minutes a piece, it's like I have checked my stats. Believe me, of course, I'm curious as to who's listening. I don't know who, but I can tell when somebody has spent quite a few hours with me in their ear. And for those of you who do that, thank you. It is very therapeutic for me to do this. I shared that with Julie No on the Mustang Monday episode, which was just the other day. So, if you haven't caught the Mustang Monday with Julie No, you can catch the video on my YouTube channel, but it also just the audio plays right here on the podcast. So that's what we're working on. I'm certifying badasses one podcast at a time, and I've got some skills and drills for you. A badass is aware of their emotions. A badass acknowledges their fears and owns them. A badass knows when they need a positive attitude adjustment. The tools for the second A are for things that it will teach you is like positive self-talk, which helps boost your confidence. You've got to learn to reframe the negative perspective of yourself and replace fears with positive messages. Build your self-esteem. And I've got all these tools for you. And of course, my favorite tool is the Badass Soundtrack, which I talk about, all the time, because music is really, one of the greatest psychologists. But I also talk about emotional intelligence. I love to share about emotional intelligence as just part of the program, as part of what you should be implementing. I know that some coaching programs just focus on emotional intelligence alone. Others focus on just another. I don't like cookie cutter, so I've taken a blend of these methods that I have studied and I have utilized and I have learned over the years, whether in the professional world or in the psychotherapy world. And emotional intelligence is one of them. So what you learn about the Badass program is leading you to emotional intelligence. And the definitions that embody it are a self-awareness, a personal confidence, a presence, an interpersonal emotional connection, mindfulness, and focus. And then there's a social awareness, empathy, service, compassion, adding value, resonance, and rapport, attention, and focus, and listening. And of course, emotional intelligence includes self-management, which means you manage your self-control, discipline, willpower, plans, vision, and initiative, stress, and impulse management. And these are some of the things that are so critical right now is managing your stress. And then, of course, there's relationship management, the conflict management, cooperation, collaboration, and teamwork, problem solving, and leadership and influence. Those are some of the things that embody the definition of emotional intelligence. Before we can really make significant changes in your personal and professional growth, there are a few things that you need to stop doing, whether it's in the workplace or at home or in your relationships. Here are some of the ways that you can flip the format with emotional intelligence. This list is modified from Travis Bradberry, who is the co-author of Emotional Intelligence. You got to stop making a lot of stupid rules. Yes, you do need to have some rules, but they don't have to be lazy attempts to create order out of chaos. When your team feels like Big Brother is watching, they'll choose to leave. Stop letting accomplishments go unrecognized. I see this all too often. You need to be aware of yours and the accomplishments of others and recognize them. Celebrate it. Stop treating everyone equally. Be aware of who the badasses in your work, business, and relationships are. If you've got one or two in your life and business, let them know. Stop going back on your commitments. It brings out the worst in you. It causes you to feel a sense of failure and promotes negativity. If you say yes, mean it. That also builds credibility. And stop being apathetic. Did you know that more than half of the people leave their jobs because they think their boss doesn't care about them? Same goes with relationships of any kind. It's impossible to share any amount of time when they aren't personally involved and don't care. So stop being that person. Be aware of others around you. Here's some emotional intelligence tips. Relationships are based on communication. Likability, credibility, and empathy are created through listening. Stress is lowered and outcomes improved through positive tone and nonverbals. Multitasking limits communication. Yes, this is a big one. If you're sitting there with your cell phone and you're having a conversation with somebody, whether it's business or your personal relationship, and you're constantly checking your phone because you have some sort of an addiction to it, or maybe you think you're multitasking, you're taking care of emails or social media or checking your bank balance or whatever while you're trying to do something else. Multitasking is going to limit your ability to communicate. All right, and then caring is an essential part of the relationship. Resonance and rapport convey care, share optimism and positive feelings. I love the science of the heart, so let's do a brief introduction to what the Heart Math Institute has revealed. Scientific Research Heart Math Institute is an organization that studies the heart-brain connection and its relationship to stress and mood in humans. This is how the organization describes their findings as found on their website. And over this time period of COVID, I took the time to actually go through the training to become certified as a heart math practitioner. Heart math research tests theories about the electromagnetic field of the human heart using machines that measure faint magnetic fields, like MRI machines or EEG. The heart's electrical field is 60 times greater than that of the brain. Its magnetic field is 5,000 times greater than that of the brain. The heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the body, and its pumping action transmits powerful rhythmic information patterns containing neurological, hormonal, and electromagnetic data to the brain and throughout the rest of the body. The heart sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. The heart has a mind of its own. The field is large enough to extend several feet to others. Imagine how this impacts your work environment. See, when I was studying about this, it didn't feel like a very long stretch for me to go about how we actually emit a signal. With my radio background, as my dad is an engineer, I feel like I've learned a lot of engineering. I always say through osmosis. I'm not a physicist. I can't do the math. I'll own that, but I do understand the concepts and the process. And so this made a whole lot of sense to me. So once again, The field is large enough to extend several feet to others. So then imagine how this impacts your work environment, how positive moods, gratitude, joy, and happiness create a larger, more expanded heart field, which is more productive. And then negative moods like greed, anger, sadness create a constrictive heart field, more destructive. Heart math shows the benefit we can coordinate our breath with the heartbeat in various repetitive patterns. This is one of the methods that helped me discover the benefits of having your own badass soundtrack. Because meditation, breathing, and physiological benefits of the practicing of these foundations, whatever is in your heart is what you are going to be. So if you think nothing but pain and misery, you're going to constantly be unhappy and unsatisfied with your life, no matter how high you go in your career or how many relationships you've had. If fear rules your soul, your heart, you'll be in constant dread. Now there's the whole mind-body connection. It's vital to be healed in your inmost body. Your body hears what the mind is thinking. This only holds true in the physics of transmission. However, radio transmitters emit their signal to receivers with their format versus heart math, how humans emit their signal to those around them, like how plants emit their signal with oxygen through their photosynthesis. The law of physics, biology, and how we think affects the way we feel, which affects the way we behave. It's scientific. It's hard, I know, and it takes practice. Just like the badass athlete practices the fundamentals, no matter the sport, they run drills, they do basic exercise to play their best. Dancers always practice fundamentals of form and isolation, strength exercises. Business leaders attend leadership conferences, read books, and practice their basic leadership skills. Musicians, scientists, mathematicians, doctors, sales professionals practice formulas, foundations, basic skills. Then doesn't it make perfect sense for individuals, you, to practice the foundations to flip the format of negative thinking out of fear to positive thinking out of love? Yeah. I love that part. I presenting that to the Temecula Rotary Club actually today, because it seems to be something that's very much on people's minds these days, is basically kind of the awareness and the stop the negative thinking so much. There's so much negativity around us that we need to, I always tell people, insulate ourselves. Insulate. So here I wanted to give you a little bit of tip. This is how to improve your knowledge, okay? Once again, I always say skills and drills for certified badasses. And so, what are some of the signs and symptoms that you might have low serotonin? Low serotonin is the hormone that creates your happiness. So with average serotonin blood levels, when they get low, what happens? The cause of it can be many different things. Some are related to genetics, lifestyle, or factors including, deficiency in some of your vitamins, age-related brain changes, chronic stress. Keep that in mind. Chronic stress, fewer serotonin receptors in your brain, lack of exposure to natural light, experiencing or exercising very infrequently. So what are some of the symptoms of low serotonin? Anxiety, depression, and irritability. What are some of the behavior changes? Difficulty with memory, having a hard time paying attention or learning, hyperactivity, insomnia, a change in sexual desire. What are some of the physical changes? Blood clotting, constipation, cravings for carbohydrates or other comfort foods, digestive issues like irritable bowel syndrome, fatigue, tremors, weight changes. So what can you do? Well, of course, you can do some diet changes. You can do some lifestyle changes. You could talk to your doctor about some medications. What happens when you have high serotonin levels? Some of those symptoms of overly active serotonin could be agitation, anxiety, hypertension, diarrhea, a little bit of confusion, and other things. So it's like, so never try to treat yourself. But if you feel you have some low serotonin based on some of these symptoms, symptoms, which could mean depression, could also mean that you're struggling with some grief issues, lots of changes going on in the world. I got this article out of Psych Central. I tell you, I love to read their articles. They just have some really good things that I follow. I'll put the link to that article in the show notes. I was quoting it, but of course, this is material that I work with on a daily basis with my clients, because that's what I specialize in, is the anxiety and the depression. But of course, I do business coaching as well, because I understand what it's like to be a employer in times of crisis. I've already been there, done that. And yeah, literally wrote the book. I'm sorry, I did. Heart Lessons is kind of about that. What happens when stress takes over and your whole life is derailed. And that's my book, Heart Lessons. But moving right along to skills and drills. How do you wish to grow? You got to have a success mindset. And I know that therapists and counselors are in short supply. So you need a badass plan right now. What is it exactly that you need? You probably aren't sure. You probably don't know. You just know you need something, So let me ask 2 questions. What have you lost? Do you know how you're going to recover? How are you going to survive? Do you know what you're supposed to do now? You might be angry, afraid, helpless, feeling negative thoughts, feeling like you're spiraling out of control. You're not alone, and it's not as bad as it seems. It's just time for you to rediscover your badass self and decide what you want next. So take charge of your mental health first. I did create the License to Be Badass program to be independent so you could access it from home, self-paced, and no obligation or pressure. It's not therapy, but it is very therapeutic. Your mental health should be your top priority now. After the year we've had, I just want to know, are you ready? I've got the toolkit for living your badass life, and why should you invest in yourself? Well, here's the deal. License to Be Badass, flipping the format on the fear of failure, will teach and guide you and help you grow your family, your team, in a way that will flip their fears of feeling stuck, increase fun and creativity, engage and give you a renewed energy that you need to grow and thrive. Being your badass self doesn't just happen overnight. It takes perpetual pruning and work. And I'm so glad that you keep coming back to this podcast, because I do give you bite-sized pieces of my actual program. So if you're enjoying the podcast, you would enjoy the License to Be Badass program. And then you know what happens? Upon completion of the entire program, you'll receive a custom diploma that you can display as a constant reminder that you are licensed to be badass. That's part of the positive affirmations, that reminder that you went through this program and you've got all these tools in place. We're not slaves to our brain or our unhelpful thinking. Think of a car as a brain. It has certain functions. The driver is the mind. It controls the vehicle. So when you change your mind, you change your direction. This program was designed to cause you to practice self-reflection and create a sense of self-awareness with emotional and social intelligence. Now I want to help you continue on this journey and invite you to join. It's not like any other coaching program. It's not cookie cutter. I created it myself with you in mind, a badass who knows it and could use some new tools in their toolbox to navigate these waters. It's therapeutic, but it's not therapy. You'll be digging in to rediscover who you are, why you're badass, and how to maintain a positive mindset to live successfully badass life. All right, now I always like to close out Wednesday Wisdom with some lyrics or a song talking about music. This is a song that does appear on my Badass soundtrack, but it is because of the lyrics. Well, I like the rock and roll too. I can't really say that I was a big Bon Jovi fan back in the 80s, when the hair bands came out. Not that I didn't like them. I was into something else, and I can't even remember what it was, to tell you the truth. But the song, It's My Life, sums up what we're going through, doesn't it? So I'm going to encourage you to find the song, but in the meantime, it's all I can do not to get kicked off the podcast world by playing the song. So I'm just going to read the lyrics for you, and of course acknowledge that, hey, it's Bon Jovi, but listen to the lyrics, okay? This ain't a song for the broken-hearted, no silent prayer for faith departed. And I ain't going to be just a face in the crowd. You're going to hear my voice when I shout it out loud. It's my life. It's now or never. But I ain't going to live forever. I just want to live while I'm alive. It's my life. My heart is like an open highway. Like Frankie said, I did it my way. I just want to live while I'm alive. It's my life. Yeah, this one's for those who stood their ground, for Tommy and Gina who never backed down. Tomorrow's getting harder, make no mistake. Luck ain't even lucky, go to make your own breaks. It's my life, and it's now or never. I ain't gonna live forever. I just want to live while I'm alive. All right. Enough of that. If you want to hear the rest of the song, you could find it on any music platform, I'm absolutely certain. But it does appear on my Badass soundtrack. And I just wanted to share that with you today as we close out this Wednesday Wisdom. We covered some self-awareness and emotional intelligence today. It's really important, especially as you navigate your way through the new work paradigm or the new family environment paradigm. Lots of changes. I've been seeing a lot of grief and a lot of need for self-care. And so I always turn to music because it is the quickest way to improve my mood. And I teach you how to create your own badass soundtrack, which will help stir up whatever it is that you're needing at the moment. Confidence, love, appreciation, happiness, gratitude, whatever kind of mood you need to set for yourself, or even something to calm you down. I have the tools to teach you how to identify those exact songs that you need and to put them on your own personalized badass soundtrack so that way you have it available for you at a moment, right there in your hand, actually. It's like a very handy tool. Unique, but universal. It's fun. And I do have a badass certification class coming up in just a couple of weeks. So I would love for you, badass, to get certified if you haven't been already. And let me know you want some information. Shoot me an email, kelly@kellyorchard.com. Would love to hear from you. Like I said, okay, the article that I read is going to be the link in the show notes. Today's Wednesday Wisdom. I am Kelly Orchard, certifying badasses one podcast at a time. And we're going to have some fun with the badass certification class coming up soon.
A badass is aware of their emotions, acknowledges their fears and owns them, and knows when they need a positive attitude adjustment. Grab your Badass Habits ebook. Get started on your badass journey. Go to licensed2bebadass.com. Friday again, we turn up the energy. Tune in and tune up. Be bold, be brave, be confident, be badass.